Hoseo.
Hoseo.
That's a Cherokee greeting. And wave the great feather for the good of it. That's the way we summon the spirits, for my talk here today. My talk here today, this is May 3rd, Sunday, May 3rd. And it is the end, I'm going to try to call it, the term of the Lenten season. And all of the kind of obligations that were active during the Lenten season and now have been completed or fulfilled. And it's also the time of the Holy Cross, the day of the Holy Cross, the Dia de la Santa Cruz, like that. And that's the main theme here. It is also, I have a double theme here, it says also in the Celtic world, Beltane. So I'm going to do two of them, and I'm going to start with the cross, the Holy Cross here. Simply said, it's my opinion, but in the United States, they have cross. You see crosses on churches, there are crosses on some hills and things like that. As far as I can tell, it's a symbol. And its meaning or its association seems to be particularly defined. And as far as I can tell, that's really as far as it goes. In Mexico, in particular, it's much different. And that's what I'm going to be referring to here in my knowledge, experience, and so forth of these things in Mexico. But also in Arizona, there are Yaqui villages, some in southern Arizona, and one near Phoenix, and that one is called Guadalupe. And Claudia and I, we lived there close to the village of Guadalupe there. And at that time, which was years ago now, it pretty much was surrounded by desert. That's not so much the case nowadays. But it still, in every respect, would be, I guess, like a village in Mexico, all just the same, where the cross and crosses are thoroughly functional in the way they are also in Mexico. So on this particular day, May 3rd, the day of the Holy Cross, the cross is female, or it's her, or then it's a woman. And that's what I'm starting out with to illustrate that. You can look right here at, I have made this rather small sized replica for this cross. Meaning I have a young woman's blouse on it and a necklace. And here the picture that's being the head of the cross, this good sister who is so smiling is Ketanji Jackson here. And she is, giving a female relevance to her cross. The crosses, in this world that I am now referring to, they have names. They have all kind of names, and I don't know exactly the name for her cross in Guadalupe. But I'm saying that I have seen it. Our comadre Maria Alvarez, had directed me to go and see the cross in the temple. The temple is called the Teopo. And as I walk into the Teopo, inside, right to the right side, was her cross, much larger than what I have here. I don't know if she would be up here some way. I'm not sure how the cross was anchored on the floor. I don't remember, but she was fully attired in women's clothing here. And I can only refer to the cross as, esta cruz es para ella. This cross is for her here. And so that's why I'm illustrating this here to also sort of initiate the senses or meanings for the cross in the world that that Guadalupe belongs to and Mexico here. And so while you're focused on that, I'll here give some reading for the cross. The crosses as the Mayan world tree with meanings attached to it. The cross as a boundary between nature and culture and as a guardian. And the cross is a symbol of collective identity for families, lineages, villages in Yucatan and in Sonora, Mexico as well. The plethora of crosses are a manifestation of drawing ideological support and symbols from Christianity to oppose Spanish rule and bolster indigenous power. The Yaqui and Mayan cross is specifically personified, which is to recognize that the cross is a spirit or that it is invested with an inner soul, Wahanchan. So that's, well said, well put. The cross as a world tree was in Mexico long before the Spanish came there. In Yucatan, there are what we call ruins of the earlier civilization of the Mayans. And one place where I was there, called Palenque, like that, there is, still existing, as like archaeological park, the Temple of the Foilated Cross. It's being called that because there is, a large panel inside that has been, somehow carved out of a limestone, very large, that resembles a cross. Really, in the Mayan, it's the world tree being very stylized. But the Spaniards themselves, recognized that, and they did wonder how come the cross was there already before that they got there. That's about as far as they at that time would be able to think about it. But it is to say that the cross or the world tree has been a part of Mexico for a very long time here. And that's the way that I'm going with this. And can go right to the left there. This cross here is small, but it is, to resemble the Pueblo cross. Pueblo meaning the Pueblo societies in Arizona and New Mexico. And that kind of cross in those pueblos, which I don't know a lot about, in some ways similar to the Yaqui cross, but more central, and as is depicted here, you can just say radiating energy. Above it, you can go above it, this I have replicated is actually located in the desert well east of San Diego, a little bit more north of the Anza Borrego, more like the Mojave Desert. And it is a semi-rock shelter, a little bit larger than my replica here, and painted in black. And so I tried to make it look pretty much the way that it looked on the rock. It gave me the impression of a native skin tattoo, where they could, prick the skin with a cactus thorn and rub charcoal into it, like that. But I call it, this cross a fiat of energy. And so that gives a very good recommendation to the cross among people, we could say indigenous or native people in the Southwest, as giving authorization for determination So it gives a suggestion of other dimensions for this, which we are calling the cross here. And then we can go all the way over there that I have a cross that's made to look like a tree. And for this, I'm going to use this as kind of a reference. On this day in the village of Guadalupe, the men who during the Easter are portrayed as the Phariseos, the Caballeros, and the Tapiecas, or they call the Cotumbre, they have gone down to the river. The Salt River is not too far. We actually live between the village and the Salt River. So down there, along the banks, there are two willows that grow up in straight shoots, you know, a few feet high like that. And the men harvest these, and they bring them back to the village of Guadalupe, and they're in the plaza, make a pile of these. And what these are for fashioning. The willow is very, very flexible. So people come and they gather the right amount of willow stalks to bend them into the shape of a cross. This is called the cavacus, the house cross. And the old ones at the same time that have been on the house for the past year are also brought there to the plaza, and that they are put in a pile where they will be, you know, righteously set on fire and consumed by the fire that way. In the meantime, this willow cross, people will take them back to their house and fasten it on the outside of the house. For us, our comadre Maria would make one for us, and then we could bring it home here. Now we live in San Diego, so we could have it here in San Diego also as our house cross. This also is to touch upon throughout the village surrounding the plaza, which is called La Cuarenta, the 40 acres, which was a land grant for this village, and that's the way it's referred to. There are crosses all around the plaza. Every house has also a house cross, besides the one made of willows, that function during the ceremony. So these crosses are also, you know, fairly large. You know, they're standing crosses, and the various people who are in the ceremony, who come and go to their home and back to the plaza where the activity is going on, they will hang their rosary on the cross that's standing in front of their home, like that. So there's ways that all of these crosses are relating. In the center of the plaza, more or less, there is the Cruz Major, which is the major cross, or the Father cross, radiating out through all of the village here. So that's the way that we're talking about, and that what I have here with this cross that I've improvised to refer to what I just told you of the house cross. You can see that there. And then you go above that, and this is my drawing. It's a very special drawing. I call it Rosa de la Santa Cruz, Rosa of the Holy Cross. And here this very much expresses the way we're talking here, the cross as her. The experience myself with the cross can say, yes, it is a symbol, yes, it is a spirit, yes, it has an inner soul, but my own experience is also it has a beingness. For my graduate work, I had chosen their Mexican culture and art history. When I came back to Oakland, I made a cross, a full-size large cross that I painted. I put it up in my garden in the front of my house. I did a lot of things to symbolize this, and I really felt in this experience that the beingness of the cross was embracing me. So I feel, a real like personification of what the meaning is in the spirit of the cross. And I feel it very much come through in my drawing of her in this way. And you can go above that, and this is another of my drawings. This drawing is actually done on locale across the border, well southeast of San Diego, where the mountains rise pretty high up there, and so does the border. Years ago, it was very easy, utterly easy, to drive across the border at Tecate and drive along the Mexican side of the border. It was easy. There was no stress about it, And there was an area, a settlement of houses eventually, well east of Tecate, La Roma Rosa here. And there, near that cluster of houses, there is a shrine. This is the shrine of San Juan de los Lagos, and the Virgin of San Juan de los Lagos. And I had been there many times. About where this is located on the highway, a small highway, it drops down dramatically down below to Mexicali. And so people coming and going on that highway, it was apparent that people would stop and make offerings at this shrine. So concerning my drawing up there, sort of a ways, walking a ways behind the shrine, more northward, this is a very ancient, recognized place. It's a medicine place. There are ancient paintings on the rocks there that are known. And it's also referred to as Sorcerer's Mountain. And my drawing here, this is actual. This is actually there. All I can say it evidently is there as a monument with the cross on it. And the woman in the drawing is actual. She actually sat for this drawing. And in front of her are the nopales with the fruit, the nopales, which is very significant in Mexico because the emblem of the country, state of Mexico, is an eagle perched on the nopale cactus. And so the nopales seem to figure very much, and I have it here in my drawing. And then what I want to bring real reference to is this shrine. So we can go down here, but below it here, I have made this kind of improvised here to refer to this shrine that is my subject here. So we can look at that for a minute. And the drawing there is actually a temple, a village temple in Baja, Mexico, that I've drawn, and I'm improvising here to refer to the shrine. So the shrine is San Juan de los Lagos. The word shrine is lugar santos, meaning the place of the saints. The devotion to this Virgin San Juan de los Lagos has become the most potent intercessory practice for Mexican immigrants into the United States. Pilgrimage Pellegrinar is a practice bound up with the liturgy of the shrines, an essential component of the devotional structure present in these religious sites. The need to construct the path Sera, to make the state of mind, estado gente, the state of mind for realizing one's visit to the shrine. Pilgrimage is necessary to feel a sense of sacrifice, meditation, and prayer in which to enter sacred places. The shrines are luminous abodes that impart their glow to the pilgrims, the peregrinos' heart, bestowing curative powers. I finished my Master of Fine Arts theme with Diego Rivera. But initially, what I started with was the shrines. So I had made, some foray, down to Mazatlan, and did here and there, look into shrines and begin to acquire some sense for the shrines. And so that's basically what I was going to do, but it would require me taking a lot of pictures, and I'm not very good with photography. And that changed when I went to Mexico City, and I had seen the murals of Diego Rivera, and I decided that I would make that the center of my thesis. But it is to mention that I did acquire some sense of the shrines, and I'm referring to that here, because in this shrine of San Juan de los Lagos, there really is a feeling that in the shrine there is a spirit there. And there are houses nearby, and so people, somebody definitely would, take care of the shrine and the offerings and the votive figures inside. Behind the shrine, it would come and go, there was a large pool, a shallow pool, like I would say. When it rained, then you'd have a pool of water, but other times it would be dry. And I had thought that maybe that is a clue to why the name of San Juan de los Lagos. And also our comadre, Maria Alvarez in Guadalupe, also kept a shrine figure of her that she introduced me to, and that she said that she would pray to her for me. So that's the way that I can bring this sense for the Holy Cross Day. Now we are going to go to the second subject. We can go straight up above here. May 1st to May 3rd in the Celtic world, the ancient Celtic world, is called Beltane. And for that, this occasion in Beltane, I'm going to speak of Bel. Bel is the Moxabul of Graeme, who is the son. He is her son of the son, his mother, here. And what I have pictured up here that I painted, this is actually a petroglyph in eastern California, due east of the town on 395, Olancha. All of the nearby mountains or hills, whatever they are full of petroglyphs. And some of them are Celtic, and this is one of them. And it's located on a rather flat slab of rock, rather slanted, and it was surrounded, this picture was surrounded by other petroglyphs of definitely animals with curved horns to look like the big horned sheep, and this one was in the center of it. and it was recognizable to me with my acquaintance of the Ogham Celtic writing here. So this is the eye of Bel, and this X shape on this leg was the tip off here, and the two horns above in this system of Ogham is the letter B, and this is a diphthong, so it's a Gia here. And then you have the first leg is B, and the two legs, or L, is saying Bel. And then the hoof, the shape of the hoof like that, is also a diphthong for yeah. And so it says divine Bel is all seeing. So that gives us a start here that Celtic people who spoke Celtic, who wrote Celtic, mainly Gaelic is the one I know, have been all over North America and Canada. This is one way of initiating it. Beltane is the celebration of spring. It's the beginning of spring, and they have dances and games and things like that go on, and they also have the Queen of Spring, or the May Day Queen, or something to that effect. So right next to it, I have my drawing that I wanted to figure my drawing here as, you know, the Queen of Spring. So you can see her. Yes? Yeah. And then go all the way down to this one. It's one of my very favorite drawings that I also like to display for the same occasion. Like, I think that that's very much the spring and the coming of summer, the summer solstice, and all of that. So that's the way I'm displaying these here. Now we're going to come to something else, and that is a story for this. And so in the ancient Celtic world, the way of ages or time goes progressively backwards. So each creature was worth so many hundreds of years, like that. And in this story, we're going to start with the blackbird, and then the blackbird's going to go to the stag, and then finally the story is going to come to the salmon, like that. So each of these, I don't remember how many hundreds of years the blackbird's worth, pretty long. Then we get to the stag, and I remember he was figured at 400 years. And then we get to the salmon, who is really figured as the earliest or the most ancient being of all. And so that would figure in the story here. And here we start with my display here. And this will be the mother eagle. And this will be the hawk of Achille. And then there will be the blackbird, the stag, and the salmon here. So you can kind of follow those with your camera here. It was one very cold Beltane eve, and Mother Eagle was sitting on her nest protecting her chick that had just been hatched from the egg about a week ago. And even though it was very cold, she knew that she had to leave her nest and go and find some food. So she left her nest to look for food. Once that she had left the nest, she was spied on by the hawk of Achille. He saw her leave the nest. And so then he swooped up and down into the nest and swallowed her chick in one gulp. And nuzzled himself down into the nest as if he was her chick. So Mother Eagle came back with some morsel of food, which she fed to her chick, which her chick was quite happy to eat, like that. And then she began to complain. She said, oh, it is so cold. See, it is so very, very cold. I think that this must be the very coldest night the world has ever seen. And her chick piped up from down below, not so, Mother Eagle dear. What did you say? Oh no, there has been a colder night than this. Well, she said, how can you know that to be so when you were hatched from the egg but a week ago? He said, well, Mother dear, to know the answer of your question, you might go and see Duve. He is the blackbird of the forge. Maybe he can tell you. So she left the nest and flew over to the forge, where Duve means black. The blackbird was there on his perch in the forge. And so she addressed him, oh, Duve, don't you think it's really a cold night? And he said, oh yeah, for sure, it is really cold. She said, well, do you think there could have been a colder night than this? Hard to figure there'd be a colder night than this. Well, she said, my chick said there has been a colder night than this, but how can he know that to be so when he was hatched from the egg but a week ago? Well, Duke, the blackbird said, see this iron bar here in the forge? I have lived for so long, and I have rubbed my beak on that iron bar that I have nearly worn that iron bar in two. And I have never seen a colder night than this. But there is somebody who is even older than I am, and that is the stag of Canebrake Hill. Maybe he might know something of what you're seeking to know. So thank you, Duve, and I'll go see this old stag. So off she flew until she found the place where the old stag of Canebrake, that's where he lived there. And she found a comfortable branch where to perch on and get his attention. And she's, saying to him, oh, Senor Stag, how do you think? It's pretty cold tonight? Oh yeah, Mother Eagle. It is very, very, very cold tonight. She said, well, do you think there could be a colder night than this? Oh, well, I don't know that there could be a colder night than this. And she said, well, my chick said there was a colder night than this, and how can he know that to be so when he was hatched from the egg but a week ago? So Mr. Stag said, every year I shed my antlers, and as I shed them, I put them in a circle, locking horn to horn, tine to tine, until I have encircled this huge meadow with all of my horns, my antlers. And for all that time, I have never seen a colder night than this. But there is someone who is even older than I am. Maybe you could ask him whether or not there was a colder night. Well, who could that be? Who could be older than you to know that? He said, the salmon of Asaroy Pond. Asaroy, go over there, fly over there, and you will find the salmon that lives in Asaroy Pond. So thank you, Stag, for giving me that cue. And now she flew off over there to Asaroy Pond, and she found a branch that kind of hovered over the water there and perched there until the salmon came up to her there. And she's saying to the salmon, like she had to each one that she met before him, said, oh, Mr. Salmon, this is a very, very cold night. He agreed, yeah, it is cold. Well, my chick said that there was even a colder night than this, and how can he know that to be so when he was hatched from the egg but a week ago? Well, the salmon answered, well, gonna have to tell you, Mother Eagle dear, there was a colder, very much colder night than this. And it was so cold that this pond froze up. And as it froze up, it caught me froze up as well. And as I was caught frozen with my head sticking up here, said, that old hawk of Achille swooped down and plucked out me eye. And so, Mother dear, I would have to reckon that that chick of yours is none other than the old hawk of Achille. Well, with that alarm, she quickly flew back to her nest, but the old hawk of Achille had flown the coop. And so here you have my illustration of the hawk of Achille with the salmon eye. So with that, can we bring to the end of the day here our celebration of the Holy Cross Day, and also Beltane, and a very, very, very old and famous story that old-timers will be glad to hear me tell again. So, aho.
Aho.